De La Salle University. I'm in Luzuriaga. This is JD. And this is JM. So our first question is, what does a system analyst do?
So basically, when you said system analyst, so you have two words, system and analyst. System focuses more on three resources, that will be people, information, and technology. So as an analyst, you deal with these three resources. Because when you are in a corporate world, especially in an IT industry, you have to keep in consideration these three factors because they will affect the system overall. So you as an analyst, it's your responsibility to actually measure the performance of each of these factors so that you will have a very good system. Without these factors, without these criteria being in your mind, then your system will not really be that reliable or will not really perform that well.
So what skills does a system analyst need?
Skills. When I started my work as a system analyst, that is actually part description of my job as web administrator for web traffic rules. The first thing that we need is that you have at least a background with HTML. At the same time that you understand system development, the overall process, SDLC. Yes. But basically, as you go through the years, the basic requirements of a system analyst actually it moves in a certain way that for this year maybe the basic requirement will be just an understanding of the HTML language, but on the next year it will be a progressive one. Because the idea here in the IT industry is that as a system analyst you have to be equipped of the emerging knowledge or the emerging technology. So nowadays, the basic requirement of system analyst is that number one, you have at least a knowledge, one proficiency in web programming language. So that can be in Java, C#, whatsoever. At least you have a basic understanding of this language. Because these languages will then be used for you to analyze the different codes, okay, the different processes. Because basically all of these languages will have the same framework. You all share the same process involved. You as a system analyst, it is not actually your objective to actually dissect the code itself, but rather to understand whether the input, the process, and the output, as well as the storage, plays together very well. So it goes down to the idea that you have to understand system development. You have to master that skill so that you can be called like, you can be considered as a system analyst.
How long have you been a system analyst?
I have been a system analyst for about 3 years now. So I started as a freelancer. My first job was on website development for an immigration company based in the United States. And then after that, I got this job in one planet as a web developer. So part of my job there will be to analyze the system. Because sometimes if the company is really small, they have to take also the job of system analyst. Sometimes when the company was really small, you cannot really divide the job into different people because you have only different resources, especially the people. So you have to take the job of a system developer, a system designer, a system analyst, all in one. And then after that, I also take another job that will be for web traffic rules. I work there as web administrator and web analyst. So my main job there will be to make sure that all of the websites will have the same standard, because it is actually an SEO company. So it's a search engine optimization company. So its main job is to make sure that a particular company will be top of the Google search or Yahoo search. So my task there will be to make sure that all of the websites being developed by the company will be of standard. And of course, the standardization will be based on different factors. Number one, it must be cross-browser. That will be JavaScript testing. The next one must be XHTML compliant website. It means that because the old version of HTML, when you use the tab key, in this case, it will be bold. Before, it is not really straight. So if you put V and you don't close it with the backslash and another V, you can still do that properly. But now, you cannot. Okay, so you have to make sure that all of them is correct. As a system analyst, you have to make sure that everything is smooth flowing. This is your job. Okay? As I always tell even to those who I train, for management system development, I always tell them that our task is not simply to comply with what the process wants, but rather our main job is to make sure that we please the client. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense whether you're a system analyst who knows a lot of knowledge, who have memorized all of the theories and models. Because at the end of the day, you will always be judged of how well the system performs. Okay? So all of those things that I have shared with you, I have learned for 2 years. Okay? And the learning curve when you start as a newbie in the industry will be really high. The learning curve. When I say learning curve, it means that before you go to the level of being an intermediate system developer, you have to pass through a lot of testing, examinations, reviews, and a lot of criticism. Okay? So, as you go through the years of your system analyst life or job, you have to take into consideration that you have to be organized. That is the key factor there. For you to be a good system analyst, as far as my experience tells me, is that you have to be really organized. Not unless that you're organized with what you do, that is the only time that you'll be really a good system analyst.
What are the current systems you have built?
Okay. Systems that I have built. First, I started building the website for family ties. So I developed that under WordPress framework, the open source software. I also manage currently the Informatics, ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning System. I also developed web traffic rules, SEO website. I have also other website projects that I cannot anymore remember. But most of them will be companies from the US as part of the job. So all in all, maybe I have developed almost 100 of them. The technique there is that for you to develop multiple websites at the same time, because when someday you enter the IT industry, the demand will be really high. For you to be on top, you have to make sure that you think ahead of your competitors. Even in your workplace, your colleagues will be your friendly competitors. Okay, because for example, the two of you might be hired as the same employer. The point there is that both of you will always be on the same friendly competition. Okay, because both of you will be fighting for the higher position. But of course, as stars must say, only one will be. Okay? So, websites that I have developed. So, that will be, I think the most famous one here in the Philippines will be the family ties website. My experience when I was developing that is, it's really tricky. It's really tricky because sometimes when you are in the IT industry, your client will tell you things that they want you to do. But sometimes the technology will not support that certain demand. It means, for example, I think you're familiar with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right? I think Star Wars is about 7.
Yeah, 7.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think in the late 90s, they released in such a way that they don't release the first one. Correct?
Yeah, they started with the 6, I think.
Yes. Steven Spielberg, he is the director of it. His idea is that the technology that time cannot really give us the excitement that we can feel if we show it today, this century. So that's the same thing as when you work as a system analyst. Sometimes during the process of identifying what will be the need of the client, what will be the demand for your developers, you will come to the point that you'll say no. We know we can do it. No, we can provide you with this product. When you say no in the IT industry, don't just say no. Your bosses would not like saying no. The only way out is that when you can do something, say no, but then propose another solution. Yes, because as a system analyst, when you work someday, you have to work out the system. You have to make sure that you provide an alternative.
Sir, how long does it take to build
a certain system? It depends on the scale of the system. If it will be a static system, for example, it will be built on a very agent framework, then you can finish it maybe 2 months time. So the duration or the time frame for the development of a particular system depends, number one, on the scale. The second one will be on the nature of the system. And number three will be the budget. Okay? And let me add, there will be the time frame for the client. Because you have to be ahead of time. Because, for example, if I say that today will be the deadline, on your IT company, it should be done a week ago. Okay, that will be the most acceptable time frame. So, on the concept of scale, in other words, for example, if you want to develop a system only to manage the whole this room, entire room, then you have to only consider small factors like the number of seats, the number of students, the number of enrolled students, the facilities, and so on. So you can develop it in a very, very fast way. But if your skill will be to manage the different malls around Quezon City, it will really take a lot of time. The next one, the nature. How about the nature? System development, website development, okay, and outsourcing system development are different. Okay, outsourcing development, its nature is that all of your requirements and the evaluation will be based on the company who outsources you. Okay, so that will take maybe some time because some clients will be reluctant in sending you feedback. Okay, so when they fail to send feedback, for example, if today you're expecting a feedback, then they give a feedback tomorrow, then you will be doing one thing. Clear? The next one, after your outsourcing, will be your system development. System development, when I say system development, it is more on the platform, the standalone. For example, the one that is being used for Jollibee, for the cashier. So yes, the POS, the point of sale. If that will be the case, the thing you have to consider there will be most probably will be the accounting department. Okay, so, and the HR department also. That will take you, I think that will be, the maximum will be 3 months. Okay, that will be 3 months. Because the thing there is that, because the nature of that isn't isolated within a particular institution. And at the same time, you're not considering a lot of factors. Because you already know that this particular system will be deployed in a particular institution. So you don't have to talk, you don't have to be concerned of what the other people will say. The next one will be the web. Okay? The web development, I will be really biased with this one. It depends. It depends on the level of the complexity of the website you have to develop. Because basically websites are developed into 3. The first one will be the level 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 will be the basic information. It's just giving you an information. The next level, level 2, it must have a form. Level 3 will be a real-time feedback. It means that if Ms. Nicole send a message to Mr. GM, then Mr. GM can respond at the same time. So it depends. For level 1, usually you can finish it within a week. And then for level 2, you can finish it in 2 weeks time. And for level 3, sometimes it's up to 6 months. Basically because of the scalability. There's a database back. So again, it depends on the nature. The next one will be the budget. You have to work through the budget. Because after all, the people are working. They are not working because they want to follow you. They are working because this gotta be paid. By the end of the month, or 15 and 30, they will be having something in their pocket. Okay? So in other words, you have to make sure that the time frame that you will allot for your system will be supported by the given budget. Okay? The next one will be the time. Remember the time itself. If the client says that you have to develop a system in 1 week, in a week time, you have to finish it in a week time. So it's more on the pressure from the client that also dictates the duration of the web. Not the web, but the system development.
When you go to work, what do you do in the SDLC?
What do you do? What do I do with the SDLC? Okay. let me share when I received when I take the responsibility as an ERP coordinator in Informatics. How did I use SDLC? SDLC in general is that it is a process where you try to follow it one step after the other. So it is a one step at a time process. You try to integrate it with your daily routine by means of course, number one will always be planning. Understanding what your system. Because you cannot start your job well until that you know where to start. That's why when I take the responsibility as an ERP coordinator in Informatics, the first thing that I did is that I try to look to the system, try to understand what will be the expected outcome from me. Okay, and then from that you create your plan, you create how you must do it, and then from that identify where to delegate the tasks. Okay, and then at the end evaluate. So that's how I do it. I always, actually in the industry, SDLC is a very abstract idea. It's a really abstract idea. In the industry, the real thing is that you have to follow the management process. Because after all, SDLC, the Agile development, the Scrum and so on, all of them, they will all follow the management process. Okay? The management process can be summarized into your POD, P-O-D-C, C then /E. P stands for your planning, O for your organization, D for your design, not really design but for your implementation, your design implementation, and the last one will be your contact evaluation or how you evaluate your performance. Now the thing here is that in the industry, always remember that you create your plans. Okay? You have to make sure you first create your plan. After you create your plan, organize how you should do it. Because you have to keep in mind, someday when you become a system analyst, that there will always be limited resources. There will only be few of them that you can use. So what you need to do is to make sure that those resources are well allocated. And then after that one, you go to the next step, the implementation. In the implementation, I always tell, especially my ERP quality, this particular system is not my task itself. I'm not giving you directives, rather I am sharing you the responsibility. Because remember, when you go to the point where you try to implement the system itself, it will not be giving directions after all. It will always be whether your team members will follow you on their own. Okay, so you have to share it with them. And the last one will be contact evaluation. Because you have to measure the performance of it. Okay? So in general, that's how I do it on my part. I plan first, and then I organize what I need to do first, what will be my priority. Then after that, identify who will do this and that. Then after that, evaluate whether as the coordinator, have I done the right thing? Did the guy or the girl that I choose to do this particular task able to perform the task? So that's how I do it.